Hey guys, how are you doing? I want to make a more formal video about the invading fleet challenge mode and the strategy that we use to beat it, and to kind of just give, I guess, overall tips on what I recommend when it comes to defeating the completing the challenge mode. So I broke down this video into multiple categories. I have, just the overall mechanics, the marks, spells I recommend, and the strategy. So get this video started, please. Like and subscribe if you appreciate the content. And I appreciate the support that you guys have given me on my previous videos. So let's get into it. So the first thing that we're going to touch on is the mechanics of this dungeon. So in this dungeon, we're up against four bosses, each representing a different naval fleet. You have the Valencian, Malibonian, Monquistan, and Polarian. Our main tactic involves using the Doom Moon to power up and launch attacks on these bosses. Each successful hit earns us a mark, and we aim to collect 9 marks in total. So let's break down these marks. There's 9 marks. You have fire, ice, storm, myth, death, life, 2 balance marks, and a shadow mark. Each mark requires a specific condition before Doom Moon can unleash its laser beam. Here's a quick rundown for each one. So fire is triggered after placing 2 protected damage over time, or dots, onto an enemy. Ice activates when a wizard receives 4 shields. Storm fires after a wizard gets 4 positive charms. Myth fires after setting 4 traps on an enemy. Death fires when an enemy has 4 negative charms. Life fires after an ally, ideally the caster, gets 2 protected heal over times. Balance mark 1 hits after a wizard gets 2 positive charms and an enemy gets 2 negative charms. Balance mark 2 works with 2 shields on a wizard and 2 traps on an enemy. Shadow executes once 2 wizards cast a shadow spell. So we recommend a couple of different spells for each mark, and we will review that now. One thing I want to preface is that in the challenge mode, whenever you cast a blade, a trap, a shield, or anything along those lines, the enemy will take it away. So for each of these and what I mentioned, we mentioned it for a specific reason to help speed up the process so you can kill the boss before you die. So for fire, we recommend protected damage over time spells like Immolate, taking the tier B route, Burring Bane, Hero of Chrysalis, etc. Now, personally, with my run, we used Immolate primarily because you can get these as treasure cards in the bazaar. So for Ice, Storm, and Myth, this is where a Bounce Wizard will be very helpful unless you have treasure cards handy. So for Ice, we recommend Elemental and Spirit Shields. Storm, we recommend Elemental and Spirit Blades. And for Myth, we recommend Elementals and Spirit Traps. The reason why we recommend these are because they spawn in sets of 3, and since they remove 1 and you need 4 in total, if 2 wizards cast these spells, they'll go through, they'll remove 1, and then once the next wizard casts it, there'll be 4 on total in order to get those marks off. Now, Death, this one was a little tricky, and we had to do a bit more research on the wiki to figure out how we can fully complete this one, and we ended up coming up with the concept of using Threefold Fever. So for the death mark, the spell that we recommend using is Threefold Fever. Now, many of you are probably thinking, what the heck is Threefold Fever? I've never heard that spell before, and I will say I will agree. We had to do a lot of research when coming up with the strategy, and I literally went to the wiki and went through every single spell image until I found a spell that could work for this, and I stumbled upon Threefold Fever. Now, spells that I tried and that didn't work were elemental and spirit diffusals. Those did not work, sadly. We already tried them. So I wouldn't even recommend giving them a shot because I'm telling you right now, they will not work. For life, we recommend protected heals. Now, I know that there's several protected heals out there besides these two, but the two that I recommend are Pigsy, Tier B, and the Tier B Wave 4 Regenerate as well. Now, Regenerate is a newer spell element that they just dropped with Wallaroo, and so far with the wiki, the only way that I can see that you can receive them is by using the Death Moon plant. So, yeah, Pigsy will probably be your go-to. Of course, some other shoutouts can be Berry Surprise, going the Tier B section, or even I think it's like a Stormy Night, whatever that myth, not myth, I'm sorry. Um, that Storm Shadow Pip spell is. I can't remember off the top of my head. But the main reason why I would personally recommend Pigsy is because it is a heal over time. Now, for Balance Mark 1, you will have a combination of Elemental or Spirit Blades with Threefold Fever. And then for Balance Mark 2, it'll be a combination of Elemental and Spirit Shields and Elemental and Spirit Traps. And then for Shadow, any 1 pip Shadow spell. Anything that you can get your shadow spells off with. Now, one thing that I really want to stress as a side note when it comes to shadow spells, please, please, please use your shadow spells before everyone on your team has a shadow pip. If everyone on your team has a shadow pip at the same time, this will cause a cheat that does a pretty significant amount of damage to you and your team. All right, so now for strategy. When it comes to the strategy, teamwork is extremely critical. I recommend personally 2 people teaming up for the fire and death marks, and the other 2 focusing on blades and traps for the other marks. Designate 1 person primarily for healing. Myself, I was the one taking care of the healing for the life marks. I recommend packing things like Seraph as your shadow spell and Sanctuary for increased healing. Each round, you want to aim for 1 to 2 marks per round. In our instance, we had Sean and we had Cam. They teamed up for the death and the fire marks, while me and Matt we teamed up for the ice marks and storm marks. Once we got off the initial 2 marks, I strictly went into popping sanctuary and getting heals off. Even if it's a basic heal, such as fairy, which you saw me using quite a bit, still very important to get some healing off. I would also recommend for people who are not healing, spells such as Brace. Now, one thing that I want to stress about Brace is that you do not want to pop it the same round that your team is trying to get the ice mark. Brace counts as a prerequisite to pop the ice mark, essentially. So you do not want to accidentally pop a brace, and then if your team is setting up shields, one of those shields breaks because your team popped brace. This happened quite a bit if you don't properly communicate and if you don't know what your team's going for. So this is why one thing I stress when doing this run, either A, you communicate everything beforehand if you're not voice calling with people, or find some people to voice call with and really sit down and work on this as a team, because I'm telling you, 20 seconds goes by very quick, and if you're trying to shuffle and figure out what spell to use, you're going to more than likely end up skipping your turn, so I recommend the communication is key. So, thank you guys so much for watching this video. I really appreciate it. Me and my guild were very excited to finally complete this. Once again, we're open if you guys want to join. Right now, it's just me and my friends. We're trying to expand. We want to really start raids soon. We're really excited for it. So, if you want to use your brains with us and come along with the journey, let us know.
can join my Discord down below, talk to me. I can get you also up in the good if you want to. Anyways, thank you guys so much for watching. Please do not, like, comment, subscribe, share if you don't mind. Come along for the journey. I'm very new to this, and I want to see where I can go with it. So I appreciate your love, peace and love. Have a great day. Thank you so much.